Okay, good evening, everyone. And tonight we will be discussing about student migration and pathways for registered nurses who have not been able to meet the IELTS or PTE score of at least 7. We have tonight Gloria Collins. Miss Gloria Collins is our registered migration agent from um, Australia, and she'll be discussing about the pathways that we could take in Australia as far as studying and working. And tonight we'll be showing you some slides. If you have questions along the way, you can just send us your questions and send us a message through our Facebook page. That's World to Australia Migration Solutions, and our website www.worldtoaustraliamigration solutions.com.au. So let's begin. All right, Gloria, I'm preparing your slides right now. Are you
Okay.
ready to discuss our migration pathways for students in a short while?
Yep. Yes,
Okay,
thank you,
great.
Madeline. Thank you.
Thank you. Study in Australia and make a difference in the world. And this is brought to you by World to Australia Migration Solutions. Are you dreaming of living, working, or studying in Australia? If yes, this presentation is for you.
Oh, shit.
Tonight, don't let your dreams remain as a dream. Australia Migration Solutions will be helping you out to get this dream into reality. And as I've said, we've got tonight our Australian migration agent, Miss Gloria Collins, who will help you assess your circumstances, help you understand visa guidelines, and better explain to you the processes that you will have to go through, which in turn will help you save money and avoid mistakes in processing your requirements for immigration to Australia or studying to Australia. Next slides will be handled and discussed to you by Gloria. Gloria, you can now take over.
Thank you. Thank you, Madeline. Okay, you've seen beautiful sides of Australia where students and migrants alike enjoy. Let's talk about some facts about Australia now. There's 23 million people that live in Australia now. 47% of them were born outside Australia, or one of the parents were born in outside Australia. There's over 260 languages spoken. It has continued economic growth. It's the biggest island in the world. There's over 120 sports organizations, 500 or more national parks, 2,700 and more conservation areas, and there are more than 150 big things like big pineapple and 17 classified UNESCO World Heritage Sites such as the Barrier Reef, and it's the fourth happiest country in the world. Now, when you study in Australia, you live, you learn, and you grow. Why do you want to study in Australia? It is the third most popular international student destination. There are over 22,000 courses provided in 1,100 institutions. 8 out of 100 top universities in the world are in Australia. It is the 9th in the university system ranking in the world, ahead of Germany, New Zealand, and Japan. 5 out of 30 best student cities in the world are in Australia. The education system, as I've discussed it. Australian universities feature in the top 50 ranked universities in the world in the following study areas: arts and humanities, clinical, preclinical and health, engineering and technology, life sciences, physical sciences, and social sciences. There is over $200 million annual government investment on international scholarship. International success includes 2.5 million international alumni of Australian institutions that are making a difference around the world. There are 15 Nobel Prize laureates, over 1 billion people around the world that rely on, and Australian discoveries and innovations every day. I've mentioned this earlier. Now, do you want to experience the best Australia has to offer? I can hear people saying, yes, we do. And now I hear people saying, how? So the first thing you need to do is to apply for a student visa. And to do that, on the 1st of July 2016, student visa will change. There will be a simplified student visa framework that will be implemented. Instead of 8 visa subclasses for student visas, it will be down to 2. The subclass 500 for students and the subclass 590 for guardians. There will be a simplified single immigration risk framework. Now, the simplified student visa framework, there will be the CRICOS registered education providers will be allocated a risk rating over a 12-month period. So every year they'll be looked at and rated. Each country will also be allocated a risk rating over the 12-month period. And the combined risk outcome will guide the level of financial capacity and English language evidence that you have to show. So in here, let's give you an example. If an education provider was ranked as 1 and the country that you're coming from is ranked as 1, your evidence that you have to provide will be simplified. But if you go to an education provider that has been risk rated as number 3, and let's say the Philippines is rated as 3, then the requirement for financial evidence and English language will be more difficult. Now, the criteria for subclass 500. The purpose of the subclass 500 is to allow international students to study full-time. The visa allows the student to stay in Australia for the duration of the relevant course. But you must first enroll with an Australian education provider before lodging a visa application. The student visa allows you to work 40 hours a fortnight as well during school and unlimited hours on holidays. The subclass 590 are for parents or relative of nominating students. The student must not have turned 18, or if they have turned 18, there has to be an exceptional reasons that the applicant can provide. And the applicant needs to show that they can provide accommodation and support the nominating student. Now, let's give you an example for Philippine registered nurses who have not achieved the the English proficiency of IELTS 7 or equivalent in OET or PTE. They can do the Diploma of Community Services, which is 2 years, or they can do a Bachelor of Business Community Services Management for 2 years instead of 3. In the next slide, I'll show you 3 options that you can consider. Option 1 is to enroll directly to do the Bachelor of Business degree program. And the minimum IELTS score that you need for this is 6, with nothing below 5.5. Now, option 2, if your IELTS score was only 5.5, as long as there's no band less than 5, you can do the Diploma of Community Services Management. And this is accredited by the ACWA for welfare worker, meaning to say when you finish the diploma, you can work as a welfare worker. The option 3 is you can package the Diploma of Community Services Management and the Bachelor of Business. Because here you only need an IELTS score of 5.5 with no band less than 5. And when you finish the Bachelor, you can work as a welfare center manager. This is instead of doing the iron course, of course, the bridging course, where you need an IELTS of 7. So the requirements are you must first enroll with an Australian education provider as a full-time student and obtain a written confirmation of enrollment, or what we call COE. You have to have a genuine intention to complete the relevant study period in Australia, and you have to have the required level of English. You also need an overseas student health cover for the duration of your intended stay in Australia and have access to sufficient funds to cover return airfare, tuition fees, and the cost of living in Australia for the first 12 months. This includes dependents if they are included in your application. I'll show how much investment you need. These are the registered education providers that I am an agent for, Charlton Brown. You can study aged care, early childhood, and leadership and management. Queensford College, also you can do aged care, leadership and management, hospitality. AITM is more for hospitality, so certificate 3 and 4 in cookery, commercial cookery, or diploma in hospitality. Brown's English Language School is for people who want to package their English course for those people who have not achieved the IELTS score or the English proficiency score that's required for the school that you're going to study. Australian Centre for Further Education in Melbourne is basically for RNs who have achieved the English proficiency score of 7 in IELTS or equivalent. They are in Melbourne. They provide the iron course. Stocks colleges in Melbourne, they offer the diploma, the pathway that I've just explained to you. And Australian Institute of Advanced Studies are for engineers and for graphic design.
Different universities and colleges.
Sorry?
They partner with the different schools. It's the migration agents.
I didn't quite hear you, sorry.
You should be really talking to...
I'm sorry, somebody was asking questions? Now, if you want to study in a university, I am an agent for University of Sunshine Coast. But there are other colleges or universities that you can enroll with. You don't necessarily have to go through the colleges that I'm an agent for. Now, how much will the total cost be? So your investment would be, these are approximate cost, of course. The English review and test is about $500. It could be more if you sit for the OET, because OET is more expensive. The enrollment fee is also approximate because different colleges charge us different enrollment fee. They could be from 200 to 250. Course fee deposit is again approximate because some colleges would require less than 5,000. 5,000 is for Scots College, which require you to pay 50% of the first tuition fee. For the diploma, it's 10,000, so the deposit there requires 5,000. The overseas student health cover approximately is 1,200. Application visa charge at the moment is 5,500, and that will change on the 1st of July. Airfare is approximately 1,200.
You want ice
That
cream?
could be cheaper if you choose a different airline.
Yeah, I
And
will
my
bring it.
fee
I'll
is
bring it out there.
$1,000. So your total investment for this pathway that I've just explained is 9,600 compared to the iron course investment that I discussed in previous webinar, which was about 18,000 Australian dollars. So the financial evidence that you need to show you have access to for the Diploma of Community Services pathway will be your first year of tuition, which is $10,000. The first year of living cost from the 1st of July will be $19,830. Your return airfare of 1,200 and your overseas student health cover of 1,200. So that's a total of 32,230. So round that off to 33,000 Australian dollars. This is the amount that you should have held in your account for at least 3 months prior to your application. Or it could be in an account of acceptable person. And they are your parents, your grandparents, brothers or sisters, or your uncle or auntie who are Australian citizen or permanent resident. And it could also be a bank loan for educational purposes. Now, is it worth it, you say? Of course, it's worth it. If you look at the next slide, the wages while you're studying, if you work as assistant in nursing homes, pays a minimum of $20 an hour. Now, you're allowed to work 40 hours a fortnight, so you can earn about $800 for the 2 weeks. Now, this is only when school's on. When there's school vacation or holidays, you can work unlimited hours, so you can earn more than that. So once you've completed your diploma, you can work as a community support worker earning $22 an hour, and you can work full-time. You could be earning $1,700 for the 2 weeks, or if you finish the bachelor's degree in management, you could be a case manager and earn at least $57,000 a year, or $2,100 per fortnight. Or if you're a welfare worker, you could be earning the figure of 62,000 per year, which is about 2,400 a fortnight. So you can see if you calculate whatever you invest, you could recoup that in the first year that you're in Australia. Where do you start? You start by setting your eyes on your dreams, and we will help you turn it into reality. And remember this, you can't just sit there and wait for people to give you that golden dream. You've got to get out there and make it happen for yourself. By Diana Ross. Thank you, everyone. And if you've got any questions, I can answer them for you now. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Gloria. Well, everyone, if you have questions, like what I said, you could always send us a message on our chat box, or you could send us a message through our Facebook page. That would be World to Australia Migration Solutions, or our website www.worldtoaustralia.com.au. Thank you so much for that, Gloria.
Thanks, Madeline. Good night.
Good night, everyone.